Welcome to the Bladen County Board of Commissioners, Monday, October the 18th. Mr. Michael Bell is zooming, and Dr. Phil Morgan will be joining us shortly. Pastor Cameron Gill's going to lead us in prayer, and Mr. Greg Martin will do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Thank you for the day, bless your life. Thank you for the privilege of Lord, as small and as we are, we can come to the very presence of Almighty Father. And we do so. Bring your blessings upon each of us tonight. We would be faithful to you. We pray for the needs represented in each one. Pray that you would do according to your will. Thank you for your guidance. We pray it might be ours tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner McGill, thank you for opening prayer. Entertain a motion to Ms. Marie.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdell?
Mr. Cogdell. Move on.
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungoins?
I know she's not on yet.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
So our next is recognition of retirement and years of service, and I don't see Mr. Powell. So if you come forward, commissioners, we'll bring these. So I know that the Sheriff's Department, Jim Vicker, did a ceremony at the Sheriff's Office for him a couple of weeks ago, and I was having the pleasure to be there. And it says, in grateful appreciation to Andrew B. Powell, Jr. for dedicated service to the people of Bladen County as captain, presented by the Bladen County Board of Commissioners, given this 18th day of October 2021, 12.5 years of service. So I'm going to give this to Marie, and we'll pass it. So I want to skip down and go to who's that? Jim? Trenton Lewis? I'll do the sheriff's first. Jim?
Trenton Lewis has been with us for 5 years. He's a Bladen firm guy, and he's been promoted to the rank of sergeant. He does a very outstanding job for the citizens of Bladen County. He's loyal to me, the sheriff's office, and all the citizens of this county. And as you can see, he carries himself very well, and we're all very proud of him. Congratulations.
Thank
So Trenton, here's a certificate from the Bladen County Board of Commissioners for 5 years of service, and a little token of appreciation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Margaret Nelson.
Ms. Nelson has rose to the rank of corporal. She's been with us for 5 years. She works in the detention center. And as you can tell, she's very happy to be here. We are very happy to have her. And again, she is very loyal to me, the office, and the officers in this county. And we're pleased to have her. Congratulations.
So, Ms. Margaret, on behalf of the Bladen County Board of Commissioners, 5 years of service, there's a little certificate and a little token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. You're welcome. Yep. Kip? You ready?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. We're pleased to recognize Kip for 5 years of service with Bladen County. Kip came to Bladen from the town of Garner. He brought extensive knowledge in the public works field. He also brings a level of maturity that is very valuable to the organization, and we certainly do appreciate it. Kip has been instrumental recently in the discussion and negotiation with Comores regarding water service to the residents of the Tobermore area, and that's been valuable as well. And Kip, we thank you for your service. Look forward to many more years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And certificate of appreciation, Kip, for 5 years of service from the Bladen County Board of Commissioners.
Thank you, sir.
And a little token.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Kelly.
So Kelly Robinson has been with us at Division of Aging for 5 years. Kelly started as a volunteer, and she provides services for some of our most vulnerable population. And she's got some big plans as we move forward, getting over this COVID.
So Kelly, on behalf of the Bladen County Board of Commissioners for 5 years of service, I thank you. Oh my goodness, come here, big hit with this name.
Okay, we have Lourdes Gutierrez.
I apologize. I didn't want to mess it up. I'm sorry.
Lourdes has been with the Department of Social Services for 5 years. She came into the agency with no experience. So she's been with us 5 years. She has learned her mandates in the food nutrition area. She is assuring that families that she serves has no food insecurities in their homes. And Lourdes always treats her coworkers and her clients with the utmost respect, which we certainly appreciate. Lourdes, I thank you for your 5 years with the county, and I look forward to many more with you. She's an exemplary employee.
Loris, on behalf of the Bladen County Commissioner, 5 years of service, I say thank you. And here's a little token. Thank you. Shimona Bowie.
Shimona has been with the agency for 10 years. She came in as a temp, and we quickly learned that she was the type of employee that we wanted permanently. So she applied, and she has been in several of our different areas. She's once she became full-time permanent, she was in Work First, and currently she's working in the food nutrition area, and she has mastered both of those programs. So when we have an employee that can master several programs, they're a great employee because they have a lot of knowledge and they know how to help those clients. She always represents us very well and treats those clients, again, with the utmost experience, or professionalism, we'll say.
And Shimona, from Bladen County Board of Commissioners for 10 years of service, we thank you.
Thank you.
And here's a certificate and a little token.
Thank you so much.
Emily Bronson.
Miss Emily Bronson has been with the agency 30 years. She came to the agency as a clerk receptionist. And shortly after that, I think you came to the agency with a diploma, with a degree. And within about 6 months, I believe she entered into the social work area. She has worked in various areas of social work. Currently, she is in Work First and handles our intake for energy. Emily, with that 30 years, she has been one of those that has treated her clients with utmost respect. She's very honest and upfront with them, aren't you, Emily? She helps, but she helps them. It's a good upfront with them. She helps to make sure that they can sustain their families. And Emily, I know that you're not for another 30 years, but you may be. But I look forward to some more time with you. Thank you for your time with the county and the agency.
Thank you.
So, Miss Emily, thank you for your 30 years of service to Bladen County citizens on behalf of the Bladen County Commissioners.
Thank you, Emily.
EMS. Samantha Bryant.
So as Samantha's coming up, Samantha started with us 5 years ago as a EMT basic. She's now a paramedic, one of our strongest paramedics. Samantha often fills in for her shift when her supervisor's out on vacation or any other reason. So she's a go-to for her shift, and Samantha is a very valuable asset to our organization. We're glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
And Samantha, on behalf of the Bladen County Board of Commissioners, I'd like to thank you for your 5 years of service to the citizens of Bladen County.
Thank you.
Carly Hill.
Carly also has been with us for 5 years as a paramedic here. And I'll tell you, Carly is the true definition of a team player. If you need she's a day shift paramedic, but if you need somebody on night, she's more than willing to switch. She recently got through just filling a role for us as interim supervisor on our night shift. So Carly is willing to do whatever, whenever. She's a true team player and a valuable, valuable asset to Bladen County EMS. We're glad to have her. Thank you, Carly.
And Carly, on behalf of the Bladen County Commissioners, thank you for your 5 years of service. And here's a little token of appreciation. Marion Moore. Good to see you, son.
Better known as Mark Moore. He's been with us 10 years as an EMT basic. And I'll tell you, I dare to say, I don't know anybody that knows Bladen County better than Mark. And I always say, if you want to know what Mark's thinking, just ask him. He'll tell you. So he's a valuable asset of Bladen County, too. He knows the resources of this county and also the surrounding counties. So Mark is a go-to for everybody. And Mark, we appreciate your service. Hope you stay here another 20 years. So.
Something like that. You got that from your mother.
Yeah.
But on behalf of the Bladen County Board of Commissioners for 10 years of service, we do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And there's your Lisa Britt. Is it highlighted? Yeah. Okay.
We didn't make it.
You want to say something about it? I don't know if that's good or bad.
Lisa Britt is a sexually transmitted disease nurse at the Public Health Department. One of those things we don't often like to talk about, but her work is very important. And she is as loved as any person in Bladen County. In the client survey, she is many, many times mentioned by name. She provides a valuable service to us.
Yeah, and Lisa has 10 years of service, and we certainly thank her for that. So please pass that on. Nancy Singletary.
So Nancy Singletary, otherwise known to us as Beth McGraw Singletary, has served in various and sundry positions here in the county in her 15 years of service. You may have heard or seen her in the Sheriff's Department in the 911 call center. She started doing finance and billing for us at Public Health. Most recently has returned to us in Public Health as a registration person. When you call or come, Beth truly understands the importance of what the front door to an agency means. We appreciate her so much. You can call on her in a dire need, such as cleaning the stretchers after a hurricane. Beth readily is willing to go anywhere she's needed. Thank you, Beth. Thank you.
So Beth, on behalf of the Bladen County Commissioners, 15 years of service, we want to thank you, give you the certificate and a little token. Trenton Lewis.
So, Tawana has been with us for 20 years in public health. Tawana works in the Women, Infants, and Children's Program, again, one of our most vulnerable populations here in the county, providing the nutrition that's needed for their growth and development. Without that, we just know that our children wouldn't succeed. Tawana is quiet, but don't let that quietness mistake you for a wealth of knowledge and experience, and again, a willingness to serve. We are blessed to have Tawana here.
And Tawana, on behalf of the Bladen County Board of Commissioners, we'd like to thank you for your 20 years of service. I so appreciate it.
Thank you.
Destiny McCoy. Tax.
Destiny has been with us for 5 years. When you walk through the tax office, this is the first person you're going to see, and you're going to see her smile. She is the quietest one of us 7. I promise you, she's the quietest one. But if she needs to be, she will get to the taxpayers however she needs to get to them to get that money. So, she has been a great asset to our office. Learned so much and continues to grow in our office. And I just want you to continue to grow and be here next however many years, forever, as long as I'm here anyway.
So, Destiny, on behalf of the Bladen County Board of Commissioners, I'd like to thank you for your 5 years of service. And here's a little token. So I want to thank everybody that took the time to come out. You know, COVID kind of shut down and we didn't bring our employees in here to recognize you, but we're glad you came. So thank you so much for coming.
They probably hung up because nobody could hear me.
If it's not playing though, it's not in. I can hear you now.
Is Mr. Cotto still? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Robert.
Division delegation wish to address the commissioners. One time, matters of interest to commissioners. Anyone have anything? Department of Social Service, Ms. Vicki Smith.
Good evening. I'm here this evening to ask for your consideration of approval for a statement of work with Language Line Solutions. This is an interpretation and translation company that we are asking for help or assistance with our Child Protective Services unit, especially for initiations and translation of letters that we need.
So moved. Second. Motion by Mr. Bullock, second by Mr. Gillespie. Any discussion? Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdale?
Mr. Cogdale?
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungowens?
Cogdale, Philman? Okay.
Mr. Bullock?
Yeah.
Mr. Hester?
Yeah.
Okay. Health, thank you, Ms. Lee.
Thank you.
Health Department, Dr. Terry Duncan?
So the first item for consideration is the Division of Public Health Agreement Addenda for regarding a Bright Ideas Project Agreement. This is an extension of the Bright Ideas grant that we got last year. It will provide us the opportunity to further develop our mascot idea, to go out and to community events with us and to help get the message out about public health.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Mr. McGill. Any discussion? Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt? Mr. Cogdale?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungowens?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Second item is consider approving the Southeastern Biomedical Associates Incorporated Service Agreement. This will provide us the opportunity to have medical equipment analyzed before it is put into service on an individual, and annual maintenance as well.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Mr. Gillespie. Any discussion?
Is there a cost involved with it, Mr. Chairman?
A cost?
Yeah.
Is there a cost?
There is a cost, and we have monies available.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdale?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungowens?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Item C is consider approval of the agreement with the University of South Alabama, which will provide clinical experiences for nurse practitioner students.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Mr. Hester. Any discussion? Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdale?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungowens?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
And item D is consideration of approval of a letter of agreement with Emerald Charter School. This will provide consistent public health school nurse communicable disease reporting and surveillance as consistent with the Bladen County Public Schools.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Mr. Hester. Any discussion? Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson?
Questions? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Dr. Duncan, will she have additional nurses, or are we using one that we have from the grant?
This is no additional staff for us. This is an agreement between us, the Emerald Charter School, and the school nurse provided by Emerald Charter.
Okay, all right.
Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdale?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungowens?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
And so the last item for my portion is, of course, the COVID update. We continue to be in a much better place in Bladen County this week as we compared to even 2 weeks ago we met. I'm happy to report that as of right now, we only have one hospitalized patient that has current COVID. as compared to 1,852 in North Carolina. So that's still a lot, but it's nowhere near close to the 4,000 that it was a month ago. So we certainly, our metrics continue to trend in the right direction. Currently, we had 54 active today. If you can remember, a month or so ago, we had much more than that, in the 300 and 400 range. So with 5,426 total positive cases from the beginning, we did add another death this month with 94, but nowhere near the active cases nor the deaths or hospitalizations that we had previous quarter. Today, the state was at 6.4% positivity, and we were at 6.2%. To date, we have not had a 10% positivity in Bladen County in the month of October. We're running more around the 7% range, whereas before, when I met with you 2 weeks ago, we were running in the 8 to 9%. So it's good news. We need to continue to do hand washing and wearing our mask and social distancing when we're indoors, and continue to look at our vaccination. We currently are at a 49% vaccination rate for first-time injections for Bladen County residents, with a 45% second or fully vaccinated. We continue to give vaccines Monday through Friday at the health department, both Pfizer and Moderna, meeting the first, second, and third doses for both Pfizer and Moderna, and the booster doses for Pfizer. As you probably are aware, the FDA has recommended the booster dose for Moderna. It goes to the CDC later this week. We are prepared to give the booster dose. Right now it's anticipated it will be a half dose. Still not sure on the months from the second dose. We also are in close watch for Moderna vaccine. The state has asked if we intend to give the 5 through 11 vaccination when it is approved, probably early November, and we do intend to give the Pfizer vaccine. At that point, for the age 5 to 11-year-old, it would become the priority rather than the booster doses. We are meeting regularly to make plans for that. I think I mentioned when I was here, but if not, we have at least 750 residents in that 12 to 18 group that we most recently started vaccinating you about school's time. We continue to test Monday through Friday at the health department with OptumServe, and MedStar has started doing monoclonal antibodies probably this week at a building that they have leased here. So that gives 2 opportunities for monoclonals. And while you think, well, we might not need it, but we needed it a month ago, and we may need it again. The forecast for the next 4 weeks look like we will continue to trend down, not only in the county but in the state. So things are looking pretty good here.
Any questions for Dr. Duncan?
Dr. Duncan, is it a 4 to 8 month wait after the second shot for the third shot?
No, sir. For Pfizer, for Pfizer and Moderna, for immunocompromised, the third dose is 6 months. I'm sorry, I take that back. For the third dose for immunocompromised, it's 1 month from the second dose. For the Pfizer booster, it's 6 months, and we're waiting for CDC to tell us what the Moderna booster time frame will be.
Any other questions?
Dr. Duncan, thank you for the job well done.
Thank you.
General Service Department, Mr. Kip McCleary.
Yes, sir, and before we get started, we've had one change in the listing that was presented to you in your packages, and it was the addition of one vehicle that's in the EMS part. It's a old military 1984 Blazer. It served its life with us, and I think it's time to move it on. It's presently not operating, and I think it's missing some engine parts, but that's stated in here. And what you have before you tonight, first consideration is to declare these items as county surplus so that they can be sold.
Make a motion that we do that.
Second. Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Mr. Bullock. Mr. Cogdell and Dr. O'Phil Goins, are you aware of the thing, one piece of equipment that we've added?
No, they didn't get that in time.
No.
Well,
What is it?
It's a 1984 Chevrolet Blazer, military surplus that the county has been in possession of for a number of years. We sold several of these in an auction a couple of years ago, and this one's one of the last ones that's to be sold.
40,000 miles.
40,000 miles.
Okay, thank you.
okay, Ms. Marie.
I'm fine with it.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdell?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungowens?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yeah.
Mr. Hester?
Yeah.
Item B, Mr. Kidd.
Yes, sir. The next item is to consider adopting a resolution authorizing us to sell these items of surplus now on an auction on November 6th, and that will be at the County Operations Center.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Mr. Bullock. Any discussion? Ms. Marie.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yeah.
Mr. Britt?
Yeah.
Mr. Cogdell?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yeah.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungowens?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yeah.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
And the last item is to consider approving an auction service agreement with Mr. Jimmy Smith to perform the auction for the county.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Mr. Bullock. Any discussion? Ms. Marie.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdell?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungowens?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Soil and Water Conservation District, Mr. Dean Morris.
Good evening. First item, I'd like for you to consider a service agreement for stream debris removal for the Okie Swamp in Bladenboro with D.G. Jackson Construction.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Mr. Hester. Any discussion? Ms. Marie.
Mr. Peterson? Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdell?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yeah.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungowens?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
B is a service agreement. Consider approval for the Worth French's Creek. It's in Kelly. That would also be with D.G. Jackson Construction. or stream debris.
Motion by Mr. Britt, second by Mr. Bullock. Any discussion? Ms. Marie.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
Item C.
Item C is to consider approving a section Big Swamp, a service agreement with Big Swamp, Section 5. This is between Tar Heel and Tobermory.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. McGill, second by
Second.
Mr. Hester. Any discussion? Ms. Marie.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdell?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis.
Yes.
McGee.
Okay, thank you.
Finance Department, Ms. Lisa.
Good evening to each of you. I'd like to review the dashboard for the month ending September, which was 3 months into the year. At the end of September, we had collected revenues of 30.18% of the budget and spent 25.15%. In general fund, in solid waste, we collected 38.67% and spent 18.8%. Emergency telephone, we had collected 16.67% and spent 24.29%. And water, we had collected 27.18% and spent 7.75%. Any questions on that before I move on to the federal? On the federal inmates, as you will see, at the end of September, there actually was a month of 69,000, but it still shows that we're a loss right now of 732,000 because of the debt service payment. So that should be catching up on that. So we should be in the $70,000 a month price range of what we receive. Any questions?
Any questions of Ms. Lisa? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Item 11 is advisory board appointments. A is adult care home community advisory board. Jill Sampson has agreed to serve from DSS, so I would entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Gillespie, second by Mr. Hester. Any discussion? Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie.
Yes.
Mr. Britt.
Yes.
Mr. Cogdell.
Yes.
Dr. Ellis.
Yes.
Mr. McGill.
Yes.
Dr. Mungolens.
yes,
Mr. Bullock.
Yes.
Mr. Hester.
Yeah.
So, we still have one vacancy on that board. Does anybody have, contact or name?
no, Mr. Chair, what are the, can I have something in writing, or can you tell me where I can find it online? Because I had one person who was interested, but she wasn't sure, like the dates they meet and other things.
Yes, ma'am, we'll send that to all commissioners. I guess I need a motion to table.
Thank
Motion to.
Mr. Gillespie, second by Mr. Hester. Any discussion? Ms. Marie, motion table.
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie.
Yes.
Mr. Britt.
Yes.
Mr. Cogdell.
Yes.
Dr. Ellis.
Yes.
Mr. McGill.
Yes.
Dr. Mungolens.
Yes,
Mr. Bullock.
Yes.
Mr. Hester.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is, EMS Advisory Council, 4. Anyone have a name? If not, I entertain a motion to reappoint.
Motion to reappoint.
Mr. Hester, seconded by Mr. McGill. Any discussion? Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie.
Yes.
Mr. Britt.
Yes.
Mr. Cogdell.
Yes.
Dr. Ellis.
Yes.
Mr. McGill.
Yes.
Dr. Mungolens.
yes,
Mr. Bullock.
Yes.
Mr. Hester.
Yes.
The next one is Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, and I have, Clint Allen, which works for the County Corrections Department to replace Grant Pate. Motion by Mr. Gillespie, second by, he replaced Don. I'm sorry. Motion by Mr. Gillespie, second by Mr. Hester. Any discussion? Ms. Marie?
Mr. Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie.
Yes.
Mr. Britt.
Yes.
Mr. Cogdell.
Yes.
Dr. Ellis.
Yes.
Mr. McGill.
Yes.
Dr. Mungolens.
yes,
Mr. Bullock.
Yes.
Mr. Hester.
Yes.
So for the Nursing Home Advisory Committee, David Howe is, asked to come off and wanted to appoint Jamie Riviera in his place. Mr. Gillespie makes the motion, second by Mr. Hester. Any discussion? Ms. Murray?
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Brett?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdell?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungolens?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
So the White Lake Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustments, ETJ, alternate position is Wade Lowry. Anyone have a name there, or you want to reappoint?
Motion reappoint.
Mr. Hester made a motion to reappoint.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gillespie. Any discussion? Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Brett?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdell?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungolens?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
Okay, item 12 is Bates Lakes Fire District Committee. We need two for November the 15th. And then also, Adult Care Home Community Advisory Board, even one person, and we'll send out information about that. There's a lot of training involved in that position. So, turn it over to Mr. Greg Martin, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to begin by reviewing the calendar with you. And point out that tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. there's a Citizen Cafe. It's a virtual event related to the strategic plan. And please encourage participation and invite you to speak with. Also, an in-person Citizen Cafe will be held on the 26th in the BCC auditorium. So folks will have the opportunity to be present for that event. Also on Friday and Saturday, the Bladenburg Beast Fest will be held 29th and 30th. Moving over to November, Monday the 1st at 8 a.m., there's a prayer service here. The board meets that evening at 6:30 p.m. On Thursday the 4th at 12 noon, the JCPC meeting will be held at the Ag Center. On Monday the 8th at 5 p.m., the Health and Human Services Advisory Board meets at the Health Department. Offices will be closed on Thursday the 11th in observance of the Veterans Day holiday. My understanding is there's been some discussion regarding the second meeting in November and possibly postponing that until the 22nd. We can plan to have action on that at the next meeting if that's not going to go well. Also on Tuesday the 16th at 6:30 p.m., the Bladen County Substance Use Disorder Task Force will meet in the auditorium at the Community College.
So, Greg,
Yes, sir.
that's in November. So, what we're doing for the task force this month is we're encouraging people to attend the Citizen Cafe. We're not going to meet this month.
Right, the 26th.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, that's good. Thank you very much. Offices will be closed on Thursday and Friday, the 25th and 26th, in observance of Thanksgiving holiday. There is a Christmas tree lighting kickoff for a warm southern Christmas here in town on the 26th at 5 p.m. The Christmas in a Small Town weekend continues through Sunday, and then at 3 p.m. on Sunday, the Elizabethtown White Lake Carrier Chamber Christmas Parade will be held. Moving to item B, there are two meetings that will be rather lengthy in, as far as the schedule related to the strategic planning process. A couple of dates that have been proposed by Fountain Works. The first is Monday, December 13th, and this will be from 11 until 5, or Wednesday, the 15th, until, from 11 to 5 as well. So Monday the 13th or Wednesday the 15th would be those dates. If we could just get feedback or whatever, I don't know if either. If any of those
One day
dates
or
work.
2 days?
Well, if we can get one, the closer we can get it nailed down, the better, I guess. If one absolutely doesn't work, and the other might.
So those dates were again, I'm sorry,
Monday the 13th and Wednesday the 15th.
12 to 13. What's the pleasure of the board? 13th or 15th?
December.
Of December.
I'm checking my calendar home.
That's Wednesday, Thursday, Wednesday,
I know Wednesday for me, yeah.
is that Thursday?
Monday, Wednesday.
Monday.
What time? And time is
pretty much on it from like 11
What
until 5.
time again?
11 to 5.
Yes, the 5, on the 15th.
You think good? Right? You think so?
That's November, December.
15th's a Wednesday. Is that good?
You say December? Yes, sir.
December. Ms. Book, you good? 15th?
That's good.
You good? May I entertain a motion? I get a motion for December 15th. Motion by Mr. Cameron Gill, second by Dr. Danny Ellis, 12:15, on Wednesday from 11 to 5. Any discussion? Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdale? Mr. Cogdale?
He said yes, I think. He said something.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungoins?
She said
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
Dr.
Ellis.
Dr. Ellis.
That
Free drink?
Ms. Martin?
the December meeting will include the Board of,
What'd he say? What'd you
He
say?
said yes.
What'd you
the
say?
December meeting will include the Board of Commissioners as well as the planning team. An additional meeting needs to be scheduled for January that will be exclusive of the commissioners.
What are the possible dates?
Possible dates, Monday, I'm sorry, Wednesday the 19th, Friday the 21st, Monday the 24th, or Wednesday the 26th. And each of the dates from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay, gotta make another decision, January the 19th, 21, 24, 26. What's your pleasure? I got 26th on the table, it'd be from 11 to 3. I got 26 on the table.
Give me the dates again.
January the 19th, 21, 24, and 26.
Any day is okay with me.
Got a motion on the floor by, who made the motion? Dr. Ellis and seconded by Mr. McGill for January the 26th, Mr. Martin.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdale?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungoins?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Mr. Chairman, while you all have your calendars out, I know this is not on the agenda. However, a more time-sensitive issue is related to the redistricting process. And it may be beneficial to have a work session or a special meeting or whatever with the full board to discuss that, if you all would like to.
So can anybody meet next week? What's your calendar look like next week? 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th? What day do you prefer? Wednesday, the 27th has been proposed.
What time are we talking? What time?
We'll do it the evening, whenever you want to do it. Evening, 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock? Okay, got it. Got a motion?
5 o'clock. That's October 27th, right? Correct.
October the 27th, 5 o'clock, Board of Commissioners room. I got a motion by Mr. McGill, second by Mr. Hester. Any discussion? Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdale?
Mr. Cogdale? He still on, Ron?
The green light's off. Green light's off. While we're waiting, the 15th. That's the first time that the commissioners meet with the strategic planning, right?
Yes, sir, from now, since the last meeting we had at the airport.
Please re-enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign.
And all the small groups are done?
No.
Okay, how much longer?
You enter no digit. Please re-enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign.
Stay out of it.
You entered no digit. We are receiving your number entry. Please hold on.
Yeah, you can do that.
Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign.
Can everybody hear us now?
I can hear you now. Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Cogdale?
Yeah, I just got me going.
Mr. Cogdale.
Mr. Cogdale?
I didn't hear anything. For what? What are we voting on?
We're voting on meeting October the 27th at 5 o'clock to go over the redistricting maps.
We didn't hear that. Hold on. The 25th at what time?
27th.
27.
Five p.m.
27.
At what time?
5 o'clock.
At 5 o'clock?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdale?
Okay.
Mr. Cogdale,
Yeah.
yes or no? What do you think?
I said yes.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Ellis? Mr. McGill?
Yes.
Dr. Mungowens?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
Mr. Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item is, there have been concerns expressed regarding the staffing pattern at the driver license office. Apparently, there, as needed, will pull a staff member to another nearby office. And a letter has been drafted for you all to consider approving to send to the state.
Motion by Mr. Britt. Second by Dr. Ellis. Any discussion? He brought it to the attention, so I want to at least get him in the motion. I'm sorry. Any discussion?
The letter has already been prepared, sir?
Mr. Marine.
Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Britt?
Yes.
Mr. Cogdale?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. McGill? Dr. Mungowens?
Yes.
Mr. Bullock?
Yes.
Mr. Hester?
Yes.
The last item is, as you all may, most of you may know, that November is the month when we traditionally have an employee appreciation lunch. We did not have that last year. We discussed other options for recognizing employees. The option that was selected was to provide 2 hours of paid time off for employees for the year rather than have luncheon. I know our numbers are doing better, but I'm still, just because of the space and the number of people, I don't know that that's the best idea to have a luncheon again there this year. And so I just wanted to get your thoughts to see. We reached out to department managers for feedback, and received a couple of suggestions. One was like a box lunch, approach or whatever. They come pick up a box lunch, or we don't have to make a decision today, but any feedback or thoughts you all have would be welcome.
I think that since 2 hours been given paid off, they really enjoyed it. Got a lot of compliments about that. Sometimes, prepared meals, some people don't like it, and you kind of have to vegetarian stuff like that. So That's my input.
How long did it have to take to go out?
Until June 30th, the full remainder of the fiscal year.
Well, that's a good idea.
Mr. Chair, this is Dr. McGowan.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am?
I think your comment, I agree that I think the 2 hour time is more important, and I think they will appreciate it again.
Okay.
Thank you, Maureen.
Go ahead, Greg, Mr. Martin, bring it back, and we'll, if you got any ideas, call him, and we'll vote on the next meeting. Individual delegation wish to address the commissioners. Matters of interest to commissioners. Anyone have anything? Mr.
Yeah,
Hester?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Hester first, okay?
Mr. Martin, is there any way that we can get
Yes.
all the maps emailed to us?
Yes,
I know we haven't got one, but
I'll contact you.
got
We'll do that.
one. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Thurman Goins.
yeah, I have to clarify something on, we talked about the meeting on the 27th about the map. Is that an open meeting, or is it for community input, or public input, or just a working meeting with
It's a
community?
public working meeting for commissioners. And then we'll determine the
Thank
public
you.
hearing after
The
that
second
meeting.
thing.
The public hearing will be determined after that meeting.
Okay. All right. My
Yeah.
next thing, can I ask
Yes,
that,
ma'am.
I still have some concerns about the, broadband, and I spoke to Mr. Martin about it again today. I would like, if possible, for Mr. Martin to reach out to ATMC or AMTC, whoever they are, who will be supporting the broadband for Columbus County, Pender County, and the other areas, to present, their, whatever information that they have now, to present it to Bladen County Commission, to all county commissioners. I would like to know about the infrastructure, the funding, implementation proposals, anything that they have that they're working now about broadband, if they can bring it to Bladen County. Because I want to make sure that Eastern Arcade and the other small areas that need broadband, who are not served by STAR, will have a voice, or at least know that someone is reaching out or planning to put the broadband in their area.
Dr. Mungones, this is Greg. We'll be glad to ask for a presentation by ATMC officials. I do want to just reiterate to everyone that ATMC has shown a great deal of initiative in terms of trying to provide service in the East Arcadia area. The information we submitted to you all that showed the proposed route and house count, that type of thing, was developed by ATMC. So they're working on it, and we'll ask them to come to a formal presentation.
Yeah.
So Greg, we also need to ask Star and other players in the
But Mr.
county
Martin-
where they are on doing what they're doing too. So, I know they got money
Can
about
we
where they
also,
are.
support, get information for those gonna support White Oak, those areas that not served on the STAR?
Yes, ma'am, and just to remind you all, when I was talking with Dr. Mungones today, I was reviewing an email that I sent you all in January. Star Telephone received a reconnect grant for $3.7 million, something like that, that is providing service in the Lisbon community and Dr. Mungones, I don't remember, in another area of the county. That will be completed in 24 and 25. They also obtained great grants to provide service in White Oak and Abbotsburg, and that is supposed to be completed in the near future. So it may not appear that they're working on it right now, but they do have plans and they're working. It's just a very timely process.
We don't have anything right where I'm at.
Yeah, so, but I'll be glad to ask them for a presentation.
We can go a lot and get started.
Let's do an update. Anything else?
Thank you.
So,
No, thank you.
are you and Mr. Cogdell planning on attending the next Wednesday, is it Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday.
Next Wednesday's meeting? Hello?
The 27th.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll be
located? Where's the name of that?
Yeah, not that small room.
It's gonna be in the commissioner room. The reason I asked, we need to get a group picture. If you're not gonna be here, we won't line up the photographer. It's either yes or no.
To do it before, if I can, I will be glad to come and leave if I can. Have enough time to do Zoom.
How you gonna leave and get back home and get on the Zoom? Forget it.
Easy.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
At 6 or 5:45.
Entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. McGill, second by Dr. Ellis. Any discussion? Ms. Marie?
Mr. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Gillespie.
Yes.
Mr. Britt.
Yes.
Mr. Cogdale.
Mr. Cogdale?
Yes.
Dr. Ellis.
Yes.
Mr. McGill. Dr. Mungowens.
Yes.
Mr. Bullock.
Yes.
Mr. Hester.
Yes.